This is Engage New York, Module 4, Lesson 2. This is concept development. Our big idea in this lesson is that fractions are division. So fractions as division. So let's go ahead and get started. So let's imagine you have 2 crackers. How many crackers, imagine I want to share these crackers equally between 2 people. How many crackers do each person get? So 2 divide by 2 people. How much cracker does each person get? Well, 2 divide 2 is equal to 1. One person gets 1 and a second person gets 1, right? Okay. So, let's show this. Now, let's imagine we only have 1 cracker. Now, let's say we have 1 cracker to share between 2 people. What are you going to do? I have 1 cracker and I have to divide it by 2 people. Now, what am I going to do? Well, you're right. We just cut the cracker in half, right? So, I'm going to cut it into halves. So now each person's going to get what? A half of a cracker, right? And a half, it makes a whole. So 1 divide 2 is equal to 1 half. All right, now, so 1 is the same as 2 over 2, right? 2 over 2 divide 2 is also 1 half. And if I wrote that in unit form, the unit form would be 2 halves divide by 2 equals 1 half. So if I have 2 halves right here, 2 halves, and I divide by 2, I end up with 1 half. So this goes with this. All right, so now, our equation is 1 divide 2 equals 1 half. So now let's try it with another number, another set of numbers. So what is 1 divide 3? So if I have 1 and I want to divide 3, how am I going to divide this? How am I going to start this problem? So I have 1 whole, and up above I had 1 whole and I divided it into 2 parts in the problem up above. But this time I have to divide this 1 whole by 3 people, or into 3 equal groups. How am I going to do that? You're right. I'm going to divide it in thirds. So 1 person, 2 people, 3 people, or 3 groups. So 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/3. So 1 divide 3 is equal to 1/3. You could also, if you wanted to take it, you could say 3/3, because 3 over 3, and you have 3/3. Divide by 3 is equal to 1/3, or 1/3. All right. So when you look at the splitting things up, you notice when you split 1 between 2 people, they actually get more. And when you split it between more people, like now you have to split it in thirds, notice that the pieces get smaller. So that is just something to take in and notice, like one of those notice and wonder observations. Now, we can write the division expression as a fraction. So 1 divided by 3 is the same as 1/3. So notice how, remember what we've learned. We've learned that fractions are division problems. Divisions are really fractions, and they are also decimals. Okay, so we just divided 1 divided by 3, but what if we did 2 crackers divided by 3 people? So let's do 2 crackers divide by 3. How much do you think each person will receive? Think about it for a second. How would you divide that up? Well, you have double the amount of crackers, right? And so you're gonna cut this into thirds. So it's double the amount of crackers shared with the same number of people. Each person should receive twice as much as before. So they should receive 2/3. So 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, and 1/3. So each person 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So now each person's going to receive 1/3 and 1/3. So 2 times 1/3 is 2/3. So 2 divided by 3 would be the same as 2/3. All right. Are you ready for the next one? So let's start with 3 divide 2 now. Let's take 3 crackers and share them equally with 2 people. What are you thinking? How are you going to split this up? You have 3 and you're going to divide it equally between 2 people. There are 2 different ways to do it. What way are you thinking about doing it? So you could do this 2 different ways. So let's start with, here's person 1, here's person 2. You could say, I'm going to pass this out. I'm going to pass this cracker to person 1. I'm going to pass this cracker to person 2. Now, what's left over is I could divide that in half. So each person, so 3 divided by 2 is equal to 1.5. Now, another way to do this, which is perfectly perfect. So your brain is either thinking this way, or you could split each one into half and pass it out. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So this half, 1/2, plus this half, plus this half, which is going to give you 3 halves, which is equal to 1 1/2. Now, people see this differently, and knowing that how your brain works and how you're passing things out is it's just understanding different ways to look at the problem. All right. So, because we had 1 cracker remaining, we had to divide that in half in both problems. But in this one, we did a pass out. In this one, we cut each cracker up. All right. Our next problem is going to be now, listen to this. What if I have 3 again? What if I go, okay, so let's go 3 divide 2. Another way of doing this. And gosh, I guess it's just one more way to do this. So we have 3, right? And we could cut it across this way. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So all together, we have 6 halves, right? Or 6 halves divided into 2, which will give us 1, 2, 3. We can have 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, which is going to give us 3 halves. And 3 halves is equal to 1.5. So there's yet one more way that you could attempt that problem. Which way do you like best? That's what's important. All right, the next problem here. 4 divide 2. So imagine 4 crackers shared with 2 people. So 4 crackers. And we're dividing it by 2. All right, there are a few different ways that we can attempt this. How much would each person receive? Well, one way to attempt this is to simply pass out. Pass them out or distribute them. So here's person 1, here's person 2. So I'm going to pass 1 to person 1, pass 1 to person 2. I can pass 1 to person 1 and 1 to person 2. Right? That's an easy way to do it. 4 divide 2. And how much will each person get? Each person's going to get 2. Right? So what if that all 4 crackers have different flavors? What if all 4 crackers had a different flavor? And now we wanted to make sure that each person got a little bit of each cracker. What could we do then? We want everyone to taste all of the flavors. How could we share the crackers equally to make that possible? So, in order to make sure that all 4 people get to taste the crackers, we would need to split all of the crackers in half first and then share them, right? So, how many halves would we have to share in all? How many would each person get? So let's cut it, cut it, cut it, cut it, right? So now person 1, person 1, person 1, person 1, person 2, person 2, person 2, person 2. So how many halves would each person get? So how many halves are there altogether? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are 8 halves, right? Or 8 times 1/2. So 8 times 1/2 is 8 over 2, which is equal to 4 halves, right? So person 1, person 2. So person 1 is going to get 1/2. 1, 2, 3, 4 halves. Is that right? So each person receives 4 halves. So 8 halves divide 2 equals 4 halves. So I know the crackers were shared in units of 1/2. what is the total of amount of crackers each person receives though? So what is the total amount of crackers each person receives? Well, each person's going to receive 2 crackers, right? Total. But if we split it like this, you're gonna put a half and a half together, and that makes 1, and a half together, and that's gonna make 2. That would make 2 crackers. Or if we're just splitting up 4 divide 2, you get 2. All right. How about if we try 5 divide 2? So what if we go 5 divide 2 using, so now let's use 5 crackers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now we're going to follow the same sequence as we did before. 5 crackers of the same flavor. And then we're going to do 5 crackers followed with different flavors, 5 different flavored crackers. What are the different ways you might solve that one? So if I have 5 divide 2, so 2 people, here's my person 1, here's my person 2. Now, first of all, we're just going to simply divide the crackers up. So how are you going to do that? Well, you could distribute or pass this out to person 1, person 2, person 1, person 2, and then divide this in half. So each person's going to get 2.5 crackers, right? Now, remember, division problems are really fractions. So what does this look like as well? So this looks like 2 divide 5, right? Remember how this comes over, and that is what goes on side. It goes outside and is the divisor. So keep that in mind for a moment, because we will come back to this idea about the dividend and the divisor. So the first number is going to be your dividend. The second number is your divisor. Okay, now let's split this up again. And let's say we have 5 different flavored crackers. What are you going to do now? And now you're going to divide by 2 people again. What are you going to do? Well, you can divide these up, right? And now person 1, 2, 1, 2. Whoops. 1, 2. Oh, wait. I'm going to pass these all on the top to person 1. And now I'm going to pass the bottom, all of those, to person 2. Because I want each person to have a little bit of each one. So how many halves do I have here altogether? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I have 10 halves, right? Or I have 10 times 1/2, which is equal to 10 halves, which is equal to 5 halves, right? But if we put it all together, so what do we have? So this is 1. So half and half would make 1. Half and half would make 2.5. So we come back to the idea of 2.5 crackers all together. All right. So 10 halves or 5 halves. 5 halves takes us back to 5 divide 2. 5 halves looks like 5 halves. And if you divide 2 into 5, you're going to get 2.5. Right? So hopefully you're seeing, remember, our objective is fractions as division. Fractions as division. That is what we're going with. All right, so a couple of things to take note here. The numbers in the problems are the same as the numbers in the quotients. The division expressions can be written as fractions. So, division expressions can be written as fractions. So a division expression can be written as a fraction, like for instance, 5/2. It has the same digits. So now the numerator is the whole we are going to share equally. The denominators shows how many equal parts are made. So the numerators are equal to the dividends, and the denominators is equal to the divisor. And if we remember what that looks like, here's the dividend, here's the divisor, and remember up here is the quotient. All right. So even the division symbol kind of looks like a fraction, right? It even almost looks like a fraction bar. So will this always be true? Well, since 1 divided by 4, so now let's think this through for just a second. So 1 divided by 4 equals 1/4, right? And what is 1 divided by 5? So what is 1 divided by 5? It'd be 1/5. And then what is 1 divided by 7? 1/7. All right, let's see if you're getting the hang of it here. 3 divides 7 is 3/7, or you could always write 3/7, 3/7. All right, last but not least, fractions as division. So if I say a division expression that is, for instance, what is 3/8? What is that equal to? Fraction as division. So 3 divided by 8. Okay, what if I say 3/10? What does that equal? 3 divided by 10. Then what about 3/100? 3 divided by 100. All right. That's going to do it for concept development for Module 4, Lesson 2. So now the next step is to try problem set. In problem set, you're going to follow just like we did in the concept development. You're going to draw a picture to show the division, write a division expressing unit form. So here is our unit form right here, right? Unit form. And then express your answer as a fraction. The first one is partially done for you. So they took 1 divided by 5 and wrote 5/5 divided by 5 is equal to 1/5. So if you need to draw this out, you draw a picture. So you need to draw 1 cracker divided into fifths. So then you have 5/5 divided by 5 is 1/5. So you're going to follow the same thing with 3 divided by 4, 6 divided by 4. Then draw to show how 2 children can equally share 3 cookies. Write an equation and express your answer as a fraction. Then you're going to read this. Carly and Gina read the following problem in their math class. So you're going to read this problem. Carly does it one way, Gina does it another way. You're going to show both ways, Carly's way and Gina's way. Then you're going to explain why they are both correct. And then fill in the blanks to make sure the number sentence is true. So you're going to use this as a fraction. Then you're going to turn this into a division sentence. Okay. So remember, go back to our notes where we talked about what the numerator and denominator is. Remember, the numerator is what? The denominator is what? So the numerator is the dividend. The denominator is the divisor. So go back to what you know. Come back and check your work once you have completed problem set. And that way you can check to see how you're doing before you attempt the homework.